We're here breaking down not only the CONCACAF Nations League semifinals as a historic victory, one of the most dominant performance, maybe the most dominant performance by the United States over Mexico. But alas, we're also going to break down something that happened, which I told you on my last video, because this is why you tune into the Soccer OG. I am like Taken. I'm like Liam Neeson in Taken. I have a specific set of skills in this form. And I listen, and I can break things down. I go, okay, I've seen this before. And I knew Gregg Berhalter was going to get that job, and he got it. All the signs were there. I'm not an insider. I don't want to be an insider. Woo, heaven forbid. But I had a feeling, and then I say, I wanted to be right. But I know it's a very unpopular decision, and we'll get down to some of the issues with Gregg Berhalter coming back. But there's a lot of meat on that bone. We're going to get to all of that. It'll all begin with the United States beating Mexico here on the Soccer OG. Check out the Soccer OG podcast. I'm there with Michele Giannone. We go more in depth with that USA-Mexico game. We'll have a new podcast coming out here on Monday, so look out for that as well. Also recapping the final, as it will be USA and Canada. Like and subscribe. We got a ton of subscribers off the last video because I started clapping, so I'm going to do it again. I can do this all night. Subscribe, like and subscribe. So the day began. Canada beat Panama 2-0. Goal by Alphonso Davies, who came in as a sub, scored a goal. Jonathan David scored a goal. Panama had some nice moments, but Canada showed their class. Kyle Larin and Tejan Buchanan up front. David behind them. Davies coming in later. Eustachio was there. Who am I forgetting? Kamal Miller, who had the pass for Jonathan David. So we'll put that out because it's going to be USA-Canada, which is going to be a much more competitive game than what we saw in Las Vegas. And by the way, it's a huge miss that we're not having World Cup games in Las Vegas. I know the field's not wide enough, which you can fix. You can get seats out there. There's not enough people in the stands. You cannot. I mean, that stadium and those surroundings. So many visitors are coming to the World Cup, and they're going to go to Las Vegas anyway. Might as well put a game or two there. That was a miss. And maybe it's Las Vegas' fault because they didn't have the paperwork, but if you are the organizing committee, you will say, we got to have Vegas because the people that you're serving are coming in to a World Cup and they want to go there. So you got to hold Las Vegas' hand in this case. So disappointing that there's no World Cup games. That's a huge miss. But let's get into the game. Let's show the starting 11. It was a very strong group here. And this was the most talented squad possible. Balogun gets the nod. Weah and Pulisic on either side of him. Gio Reyna comes in as a number 10. Musa and McKennie behind him as we await for the return of Tyler Adams and what that means for that trio. I'll let you know here shortly. Jedi Robinson left back, Serginho Dest right back, Chris Richards and Miles Robinson your center back pairing. So I think I was right about everything except for I had Walker Zimmerman for Chris Richards. Matt Turner in goal. Just a brilliant a group. This is what we've been getting towards. And I'm going to get into the Gregg Berhalter news because people are upset that you did this long search. And I'm seeing people on Twitter going, you spent all that money. What are we, the IRS now? Who cares? There was a search. We heard 2 weeks ago they're going to give the job. This is what probably won't happen. I think they were going to give the job to Jesse Marsch. And when they talked to the players about Jesse Marsch, the players said, no, we want Gregg. I'm telling you that's what happened. I'm telling you because we heard Christian Pulisic and Tim Weah say it afterwards. They were asked questions unsolicited. They came up and said, Gregg Berhalter's the coach. We want him back. So something was brewing internally. And the players have power. And we saw it in this game. These players are now men. They get to call the shots like every national team around the world gets to once they mature. In Italy, in England, in Brazil, in Argentina, everywhere. When that national team stops being kids and men, they're like, we have a seat at the table. They do. and apparently was very influential. I can tell you they said no to Jesse Marsch. They said yes to Zach Steffen. There was a search. They looked at everyone. But the reason Gregg Berhalter is coming back to the U.S. team is because the players wanted him. I don't know if that includes Gio Reyna or not, but the players wanted him. Now, the second thought that because Gregg Berhalter is, well, real quickly, USA is going to have to answer this, but because they went through a search and they came back and said Gregg Berhalter's the right guy, it wasn't like they faked all of this. They went through their due diligence, and I've been in coaching. LAFC did this. They went through all over the place, and they came back with Steve Cherundolo because they said that was the best guy. So don't get caught up in that. It's a mess, but what else is new for U.S. soccer? But let's worry. I mean, we can't get up in arms when this U.S. team is playing the way they are. So don't worry about all the minutia. What are you going to do? You're going to be upset because they spent maybe $10K here on some travel and maybe took a lot longer. But about people saying, well, we could have brought him in sooner and he could have been coaching right now. I go, are we disappointed the way the U.S. have performed while he's away? Balogun, Zendejas coming in. Taylor Booth to a lesser degree. Anthony Hudson doing a great job. Getting Flo Balogun. And now the cherry on top, getting this win over Mexico. Tying Mexico in April. Yeah, you would like your coach being there, but did they really miss a beat? This team looked amazing. Now, Gregg Berhalter, his assistants were Anthony Hudson and BJ Callahan. If you think they're not picking up the phone and this is their vision, then you are very naive. I'm not picking on anyone in particular. I'm just trying to make a point here. So Gregg Berhalter is inside on this U.S. team. He always was. And now he's going to come back. And my guess is, Anthony Hudson got a gig in the Middle East. BJ Callahan will come back with U.S. Soccer, and they will move forward. The Gio Reyna situation. Gio Reyna not going anywhere. The point I just made, Gregg Berhalter's calling the shots. So he probably greenlit playing Gio Reyna in this game and playing him in that position. They want to see it. This is the growth of the U.S. So when Gregg Berhalter takes over, Gio Reyna is going to be in that position. The question if Tyler Adams comes back, what happens in that midfield? And my guess is Weston McKennie goes to the bench. Gio Reyna's not going anywhere unless his form goes. This is the gradual progression of the U.S. They're going to play with that number 10 moving forward. Gio Reyna was awesome. He looked all grown up. He looked more than anyone like the boy who became a man in this game. Everything they did, although they made some mistakes late with discipline. Gio Reyna, fantastic with what he was able to show. He's not going anywhere. So we'll talk more about Gregg Berhalter. But all those concerns, and you can keep them going on, but I just saw some really just absurd comments. And people go, I don't know if I can watch this next cycle. Are you insane? Are you going to miss this? Did you see this game? From the beginning, you knew this was going to be a beatdown. From the beginning. I got to stop listening to social media because when Christian Pulisic said those things about Gregg Berhalter, people were trying to convince us that Christian Pulisic is not the most important player for the U.S. He scored 2 goals. He's a Mexico killer. He is our most important player. Maybe Gio Reyna is more talented. And I don't care if you ask 1,000 coaches who would you rather have. Christian Pulisic is our most important player. Stamp it. Stamp it. He was awesome. Got the 2 goals. Gio Reyna was great. Balogun, look, I'm surprised he started him, even though I said he would. Wasn't great. And then Ricardo Pepi comes in and scores a goal. Great news. Balogun now knows, no shortcuts, you're not going to be given the job. Ricardo Pepi is breathing down your neck. And if in the World Cup Ricardo Pepi's starting the number 9, he will have earned it. You don't get a spot on this team. This is a super team. We saw that. This is a top 10 team in the world potentially. The way they ran around there. They got a few things to work on. And Mexico's bad. And by the way, I'm going to be right on this one too. I'm recording this Thursday night. I would not be surprised if Diego Coca is out of Mexico by the time we all wake up tomorrow morning. That's how bad this was. He was already in hot water, but to have a performance like that where you get 2 red cards and they just... I mean, they stopped the game with 5 minutes to go. I mean, the officiating was, El Salvadorian Ivan Barton lost control. So many red cards. The Weston McKennie was not a red card. You could see it. He was overwhelmed. And they had 12 minutes of stoppage time. I'm not sure why, but the 7th minute he goes, enough. The crowd was unruly. You had the chant going on. You had the trash being thrown out. You had some really nasty physical encounters initiated by Mexico, but USA responded. So you don't see it. I mean, that was intense. You see a lot of pushing and shoving, but that was a little beyond the pale. Because I was like, oh man, ripped shirts, headshots. It was bad. So, oh man, I've lost my train of thought. There's so much going on here. The officiating, this is a very poor Mexico team, but the United States, from Christian Pulisic to Gio Reyna, who, by the way, neither one of those two were my man of the match. My man of the match, well, he wasn't my man of the match. He was my man of the match until he got a red card, Serginho Dest. He was spectacular. He looked like a super fullback, a Cafu. He had this run to set up the Ricardo Pepi goal. I mean, everyone played well. Richards and Miles Robinson locked it down. Matt Turner didn't have much to do. Anthony Robinson was close to perfect. Musa played a couple fantastic balls. McKennie, not one of the better performances, but I loved how he defended Balogun when he was hit hard for that first red card by Cesar Montes. And he still had a decent game. Reyna connecting well with Pulisic. Balogun, okay. The bench, the one guy, Luca De La Torre, came in and had positive impact. Brendan Aronson didn't really get into the game that much, but it wasn't a lot of time, and the game was so interrupted. But Pepe was awesome. The United States, absolutely convincing. Maybe the most dominant performance I've seen them over Mexico in my lifetime or any lifetime. I'm trying to catalog them all. I know there were some bigger wins by the U.S. score lines, but this was a pillar-to-post job and just smacked Mexico down to a point where you say, you are not in the first-class cabin of CONCACAF anymore. It's us in Canada. We'll see you sometime down the road. But, it's Mexico bad, USA exceptional. I would like to think USA, although, the red cards, I think Canada wins on Sunday. Canada was able to rest Davies. They played a smart game. The USA didn't. Serginho Dest, to finish that thought, he was my man of the match, but he was just so dumb retaliating. I know getting hit in the head's awful. And I know I said I liked Weston McKennie reacting, defending Flo Balogun. But you're already down a red card. You have that in your memory bank, and you are much more important to this team than Weston McKennie. Because we don't have the cover at fullback. No one can do what Serginho Dest does. You could get Luca De La Torre to come in and maybe do a Weston McKennie job. We're better equipped there. So this was a huge screw-up by Serginho Dest. I don't want it to taint this performance, but you've got to remember, you have a final. Beating Mexico and losing to Canada, this performance goes out the window, pretty much. All right, we beat Mexico, but we're still number 2 in CONCACAF. That's like, opening one door and going like one of those funhouse doors and you're back in Willy Wonka's house. So that was a disappointment. It was really hard to watch at the end. And maybe Mexico did that by design because it could have been 5-0. Easy. The way the United States, just blistering attack, coming in all directions. And, for the first time this group's together, that looked like a team that has been playing together for some time. And as good as it looked, Balogun, still a long way to go. You figure he'll get there. He has every reason not to be into the groove of things based on where he's coming and where he's going. By the way, I love Reyna was another one, had some attitude. He had the cotton up his nose. He got hit in the face, blood. He got hit to the ground hard. He gave it back. Fantastic across the board. But this performance will be defined by what happened Sunday. We'll see exactly how that looks as the USA play Canada. Mexico will play Panama, but we saw a U.S. team that is much different than the team we saw World Cup qualifying. This is a different group. And isn't it fulfilling? That's got to be feeling good for coaches, which is Gregg Berhalter, so you can be upset about it, but don't say I'm not going to watch it just to spite this team because Gregg's in charge. What's happening with the U.S. now was under Gregg's watch. I'm just telling you. I think I know. if you're hiring your assistants, I've spoken to Luchi Gonzalez, who's the coach of the Earthquakes, and Nico Estevez, who's the coach of FC Dallas, who are both Gregg Berhalter assistants. So when I talk to them, their loyalty to him is unlike anything I've ever seen. If you say something bad about Gregg Berhalter to them, and I can assure you the same with Hudson and Callahan, because Gregg gave them opportunities. Well, maybe not Callahan, he was in the system. But they are loyal. They are loyal to Gregg, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. But all those coaches, Mikey Varis, that are under that Gregg Berhalter umbrella are very loyal to him. And I think that's a positive going forward. And I think this U.S. team will get better. And I don't know. I mean, who was the other options? Patrick Vieira? Did you want Jesse Marsch? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what I want. I'd prefer to defer to the players. And they answered. So, Gregg, I mean, sleep well. But don't let any kind of disappointment for however you feel, dampen what we saw from the U.S. Don't let the referee's performance, don't even let the Serginho red card get you all bent out of shape. This was incredible. Splendor on the ice. We'll be back to recap the final. Check out the Soccer OG podcast where all podcasts are available. Check out the Soccer OG YouTube under my name, Max Bretos here. Check out all the old videos and you'll see where I'm right all the time. I'm not trying this to be cute. I'm just saying it's calibrated. 27 years of covering this game.